Kamala Harris needs to be crowned the queen of great pander. All she did was pander through her entire campaign. She pandered to the black community, to women, in the LGBTQ2S plus community, and our allies. She went to that black barbershop like, I know how to reach the brothers, the barbershop. Be so for real, pander queen. Not everyone is so unintelligible that they move strictly off emotion. She pulled out all them celebrities like that was going to do something. She thought she ate. Sis, your campaign was very much so giving Diddy Party. That ain't it, sis. I know people are hurt, afraid, and confused that she lost, but I'll break it down for you as to why she did and why the Democrats lost 15 million voters. It ain't 'cause she black. It ain't 'cause she's a woman. Black voters felt like they were being manipulated and pandered to by political strategies that seemed more performative than genuine. Let's be real, while Kamala Harris has roots in both Indian and Jamaican heritage, it's arguable that her experiences do not resonate with the lived realities of many Black Americans, most actually. This disconnect has sparked conversations around authenticity in political representation, especially given Harris's previous role as a prosecutor. During her tenure, numerous controversies emerged regarding wrongful convictions, especially among Black men. These issues were not adequately addressed during her campaign, leading to skepticism about her commitment to the Black community. Additionally, the discourse around racial injustice and police violence continues to be a pressing concern, particularly in the wake of high-profile cases each election season, such as, say, the Sonia Macy case and George Floyd case. It's alleged that the Democratic Party has strategically leveraged these tragedies to galvanize support, sometimes at the expense of genuine progress. This raises questions about the sincerity of their outreach and the ethical implications of their campaign methods. Are they sacrificing Black people to elicit rage and support their campaigns? The Democratic Party did start the KKK. Now, another area of concern within the Democratic strategy is with the LGBTQ2S plus community. Specific policies and rhetoric have led to accusations of pandering, with some community members feeling exploited for political gain. Issues such as the participation of transgender women, biologically born men in women's sports, and other gender-related policies have sparked significant debate. There are voices within the community, including parents, who believe that their rights and concerns are being overshadowed by a push for, say, quote-unquote, progressive ideologies regarding gender-affirming care. Also, stories of detransitioners and their difficult experiences have also been sidelined, which has led to calls for more nuanced discussions on these topics. Detransitioners were ridiculed, silenced, disregarded, diminished, and their experiences were suppressed. I personally know trans people who are outraged by trans women in biologically born women's sports and the removal of parental rights in their children, expressing not feeling well adjusted to their natural born sex. There's a looming feeling of nefarious intent to push alternative sexual lifestyle and trans ideation onto the youth to further assist the depopulation agenda. I feel this myself as a 2S woman. Furthermore, while Kamala Harris's campaign emphasized progressive ideals, challenges in global contexts such as conflicts in Gaza and the ongoing war in Ukraine have raised questions about the effectiveness of these narratives when considering the safety and rights of women and children affected by violence. It's quite contradicting to advocate for women and children while so many innocent women and children are being slaughtered in Palestine. And to not make much mention of it feels just wrong. Her claim for caring about women and families feels disingenuous, one-sided at best. Many believe that while women's rights, including reproductive choices, are crucial, there should also be greater emphasis on providing resources and support systems that reduce the necessity for abortion as a means of birth control. The C1 under 20 vaccine mandates also highlight an inconsistency in the Democratic stance on rights and freedoms. Many individuals whose jobs and livelihoods were jeopardized due to these mandates express feelings of betrayal, especially in light of the party's pro-choice rhetoric. It's hypocritical to stand for pro-choice in regard to abortion, but not when it comes to vaccines. Even attempting to argue that the vaccine was to protect the country as a whole, pro-choice is pro-choice. And people had every right to hold their reservations about the vaccine, lest we forget those who died suddenly. In the censorship surrounding discussions about vaccine safety has raised concerns about the suppression of free speech regarding differing medical opinions and vaccine injuries, which was rampant. An absolute travesty. The entire government lost our trust with this debacle. Democrats have ignored the First Amendment, freedom of speech. They are responsible for censoring doctors for speaking about the safety and risks of the vaccine. Many people were censored and silenced by quote-unquote fact checkers under the Democratic Party. The vaccine left a devastating impact on the world, reason Bill Gates and others involved are facing lawsuits left and right. Border security remains another contentious topic, with increasing numbers of undocumented migrants entering the country. In my loving opinion, Mexicans should be granted some form of citizenship or access into the country, given the fact that this land was stolen from them. There still needs to be some regulations on immigration, though. Too many undocumented migrants have entered our country, and they're getting away with violent crimes because they can't be traced. And the financial decisions made by the government, particularly with taxpayer money, such as assisting undocumented immigrants, has sparked so much outrage among citizens who are neglected in the wake of natural disasters and economic struggles. People are furious of how the Democrats have given housing and millions of dollars to illegal immigrants, yet have gravely failed to financially support victims of natural disasters and Hurricane Helene survivors. Billions have been given to Israel and Ukraine under the Democratic rule, even though that isn't their fault alone and supersedes their power and control. The politics on that is a bit confusing for me, I'm not gonna lie. The perception of fiscal irresponsibility also looms large, particularly with the rising inflation linked to complex factors, including the past stimulus efforts during the Trump administration in 2020. Many Americans, though, are frustrated at the allocation of funds. As racial tensions persist in the United States, there are fears about potential civil strife if divisive political strategies continue. Kamala Harris winning the election would have erupted civil racial wars to an insurmountable level. Racism is still alive and thriving in America. Kamala and her cabinet members would not have been able to stop innocent Black women and children from being violently targeted, hurt, or deleted from ignorant MAGA supporters. Trump and the Republican Party are not perfect. They need refinement too. And it doesn't make sense that a convicted felon could even run for president, let alone be president-elect, if convicted felons can't get jobs or even vote. The diminishing of racial discrimination, tensions, and racism needs to be addressed by the Democratic and Republican Party alike. Leadership, regardless of party affiliation, must do more to combat racism and inequality. The discussion around policies such as critical race theory illustrates ongoing debates about historical representations and the importance of addressing systemic discrimination. Throwing out critical race theory is simply suppressing, disregarding, diminishing, and overlooking American history, which is not right or fair. Now, the topic of reparations for the descendants of enslaved individuals continues to evoke strong feelings. Other ethnic groups who have faced historical injustices have received some form of restitution or reparative measures, which actually leads to real healing. On the other hand, African Americans have largely been overlooked in this regard. This ongoing discussion about historical injustices and reparative justice remains vital for addressing the landscape of racial relations in this country. Now, I ain't gonna hold you. It will be nice to see a black woman be president-elect. Not moving how Kamala moved, though. That ain't gonna work. It's essential, too, to scrutinize the actions and impacts of political figures like Kamala Harris in what she was doing as a prosecutor. Now, while her identity as a black woman in politics is historic, it's clear that many voters are looking for authenticity, real dialogue, and a commitment to transformative change that uplifts all members of society. Ultimately, there is a widespread feeling of disillusionment with both major political parties. Many Americans have a desire for real change. We're yearning for a political landscape that prioritizes unity and constructive dialogue over divisiveness. Okay? The call for a third party beyond the traditional red and blue paradigm resonates with those who seek a more balanced, pluralistic approach to our political landscape is very clear. One that emphasizes the shared interests and complexities of American society rather than polarizing ideologies. In other words, both parties are trash. The entire government needs to be overthrown. Fuck the red, in the blue, be purple.